What up, what up, what up? Welcome to another episode of New Orleans Basketball and New Orleans Network podcast. As always, I am your host, Raphael Rattler, joined by my fellow middle brother, Garrick Raphael popping with ya, bruh.
What up, bro? You sound a lot better, boy. That T doing this thing. That T make you sounding back to normal, man. Good to hear you. But nah, man, everything's all good on this side. Watching Keegan Murray go for MVP of the Summer League once again for some odd reason. But yeah, man, enjoying the Summer League hoops so far. We get the Pels today when this podcast come out. It's gonna be later on today, and you know, Wemby's gonna get his shot to impress the Summer League and start to make his notice on the league. So got some good NBA storylines going on. Dame is still in Portland. Harden is still in Philly. So man, it is as the world turns, man, as far as the NBA goes. So I'm enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying it. How's everything on your end?
Everything is good. I feel like we're back into the swing of things. There's basketball. There's Pelicans basketball at that. You didn't even mention Chet Holmgren making his return back to the court and doing it in a facet where it looked a little rusty at the beginning, but then you starting to see, oh, yeah, he can play too. So a lot of things going on. But before we get too far on the show, because we have a lot to talk about, previewing the Pell Summer League roster, make sure you guys are following us on Twitter, follow us on IG, follow us on TikTok and NO Basketball, no E. That's any social media account that you follow, whether it's Threads, Twitter, anything like that. Follow us on there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, New Orleans Basketball. We're growing something special over here. So the Pels play basketball.
Crazy.
Coach Casey Hill will be a head coach. Again, you've kind of seen different people get an opportunity to coach the Summer League team. Willie Green in his first year starting it off and now kind of passing the duties and the responsibilities off to other coaches. But, you know, he came out and said it. The Pels have a young roster. The Pels have lots of players that are going to be playing today that are going to be contributing to their regular season rosters. You've got Dyson Daniels. You've got EJ Lidell. You've got a slew of young talent in Jordan Hawkins and things like that. So guys who are trying to make the roster, maybe that 15 spot, maybe that two-way contribute down the line. What are your thoughts on the Pelicans going full throttle, saying that they're going to play every game, they're going to try to win it, and trying to win the Summer League championship once again?
I mean, Summer League Pels is it's a legendary team, man. We know about the Summer League Pels. They not only do they come out and they play hard, but they let you know about it, right? From the Najee moments, Trey obviously in his time there. So it should be exciting. Listen, there's gonna be a lot of guys who you recognize, and there's gonna be a couple of guys who you don't recognize who may be around the Pelicans as far as the two-way contract goes and things like that. So it's going to be a lot of guys. I tweeted it out once the Summer League roster was dropped. It's got a lot of guys to keep eyes on, right? And a couple of guys that, well, one for sure who won't be playing, unfortunately, who probably is one of the more intriguing guys to play in Liam Robbins. So I think there's a lot of opportunity available when you play on a young team that has open roster spots, that doesn't hesitate to play undrafted players. And what we've seen from Herb Jones and EJ Lidell, like no matter where you get drafted, you can make some money with the Pelicans and get some playing time. And so, you know, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to seeing the ball roll out and seeing the Summer League Pels get after it again.
Right. And so, again, there's a lot of players to talk about, but I think the players going in that I think most fans have the biggest expectations on, number one, the number 14 pick of this year's draft, Jordan Hawkins. So you and I have talked off the pod a little bit about the hypothetical of, let's say Jordan Hawkins is what everybody says that he is, right? You talked about Chris Brinkley calling out the fact that he's an elite shooter, and Chris Brinkley works with shooters, right? To get that type of praise from a person like that already speaks volume. But every single person that talks or hears or sees Jordan Hawkins shoot the basketball, it's not like, oh, he's a good shooter. It's like, oh, he's that kind of shooter, right? Like EJ Lidell, he has a clip. DJ Dyson, he can shoot the piss out the ball. Darion C. Brown, man, he can really shoot the basketball. Like, people pause when you ask about how he shoots the ball. What does that mean? What are you looking for out of a player like that, where literally everyone's trying to see, hey, you got the skill set that the Pelicans need. Let's see it on full display versus summer league talent.
Yeah, I from what I've been told, it's real. That's what I've been told. And so, listen, it's going to be really exciting to see some of this. Some of the college games that you saw, the highlights that you saw, to see how that translate over to the NBA. I've always said, I'm a big component of it. The dimensions of the court don't change. The rim doesn't change. If you can shoot, most likely, and we talked about like who are the shooters who have been in college that come over to the NBA and it doesn't work, right? It's an interesting exercise to kind of look and see. Like most shooters, now if you do other things, right, that might not translate over, dribbling, space creating. But if you could shoot the ball fairly well, that tends to bode well for your career moving forward. And Jordan Hawkins is the elite of the elite. As far as college shooters go. So it's going to be interesting to see, he talked about, having other elements of his game other than the catching and shooting and things like that he wasn't, he didn't need to show in UConn because his team was so stacked. Well, this is an opportunity for him to showcase some of that, right? I'm sure the Pelicans want to see the full arsenal, right? They want to see everything that you can do, but also I want him to show his defensive chops, right? There's a lot of hoopla, like you just said, about his offensive game and the way he can shoot. But I think what we talked about this when he first got drafted in our draft recap, that he has some defensive capabilities that people aren't talking about, that people aren't seeing. And it's not that stand you up, stock defender. It's the thinking man's game. It's getting to spots before the guys, doing your work before the catch gets there. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what Jordan Hawkins can do, and if the volume of his shooting and the accuracy of his shooting translates over. Because if it does, I mean, he shot 7 3-pointers a game. If this is a guy that you found who is that elite of a shooter, that is just another weapon of the Pelicans offense that, again, hasn't been there for a long time and hasn't been there when you have the gravity like a JV, like a Zion, like a Brandon Ingram, like a CJ will all garner. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I think all eyes will be on him and the guy that we talk about after, but a lot of eyes will be on Jordan Hawkins because that skill set is something that the Pelicans need sorely.
The thing that stood out to me when he was interviewed after practice was he said, man, the NBA is easier because there's more space on the floor. And so normally you kind of take that with a grain of salt that, hey, he's a rookie, that's what he should say. But for his particular skill set, like, I think he's right because he's an off-ball player who's constantly looking to get a quick triggered shot. Well, if the floor space and you have to hug all the players you just mentioned, for a guy like that, he's like, man, I'm shooting wide open shots now. And so I 100% agree with you. The thing that's going to keep him from seeing a lot of minutes early is his ability to defend. He's slighter frame. He's already gained 10 pounds since the beginning of the draft process. But still, how does it hold up, right? How does that translate moving forward? So the other player that everyone's very excited to see is Dyson Daniels. So Dyson had, I can't even call it like an up and down rookie season because he showed glimpses of how, man, this guy can be impactful. Man, this guy can have Alonzo type impact on this team. And then injury happened. And so it wasn't like, man, he had his ups, his downs. He did, but like he never was able to kind of build any type of consistency because he was in and out the lineup dealing with the ankle injuries and things like that. And so in a situation like this, you and I talked off the pod, what are you looking for out of Dyson Daniels, knowing he's not this prolific scorer in the first place? Like he wasn't even that for the G League Ignite. So in a setting like this where you're looking for players to be more aggressive on the offensive end, who are top picks in the draft, who have NBA experience, What are the things that you're looking for out of a Dyson Daniels?
I think you said it best. The confidence. I think a lot of times that we watched Dyson when he was actually on the floor, he looked a little unsure of himself as far as handling the ball, as far as making clean passes and fitting some of those passes that you saw him make in the G League. Fitting into those tight windows in the NBA is a lot more difficult, right? This is the cream of the crop, and it's very difficult to get into those windows the same way that you would get into them in the G League and obviously across seas. So I want to see him get on the floor and be aggressive, look like and be confident, look like a second-year player among a bunch of rookies and things. You're seeing what Jalen Williams looks like. You're seeing, even like you said, Chet Holmgren. He looks like that's a different player on the floor. Jalen Williams, Keegan Murray, those guys all look different than some of the rookies that you're seeing on the floor. So this is another year for him. There's been a lot of videos of him in the gym, getting shots up, playing, working on his defense, working on his handle, working on that corner three. Obviously, the jump shot is something that you want to see as far as like what you see on this Pelicans team. But again, I don't think that everybody has to fit a certain mold on a team in order to be successful. Dyson Daniels, has the luxury of being drafted on a lottery team that doesn't need you to be a traditionally lottery pick, right? Where I don't need you to come in and be the savior of the franchise. You can come in and come along at your own speed, but this is year 2 for a team that is ready, to compete and do things. And Dyson has a role on this team as far as the defender, as far as the connector, but it all starts with his confidence and playing downhill and playing with 2 feet on the ground, because that's just something that you have to have, especially as a ball handler. The last thing I want to see is you got to get better with finishing at the rim. Another guy that is so tall and so athletic that there has to be some consistency in finishing at the rim. Layups, dunks, more dunks, please. You've been calling for it. More dunks and things like that. Just playing with an aggressive nature that I think he can achieve. He can unlock. Listen, this guy went top 10 for a reason, right? This is a guy top 15 for a reason. This is a guy that can play basketball and do it very well. So I think that, Dyson's ability to be confident, to run the show as a point guard and to finish at the rim, those are the things that we're going to be looking for in his second stint in the G League. In the summer league.
Right. I think it's different because everyone looks at Trey last year going back to the summer league after his first year, and Trey was dominant, averaging 30 points. But that's what Trey needs to do in the regular season, right? Like, Trey is a scorer. The team needs Trey to be aggressive offensively. For Dyson, first of all, it's not in his game to shoot 25 times a game and to shoot from all over the court. It's in his game to be good at everything on the court, to be in control of the game, right? To be able to get other people good looks, be able to know when to be aggressive on his own. And so when I look at a player like Dyson in this type of setting, are you in control? Are you managing the game in a certain way, the way a point guard has to be? And so, again, you bring it up. Listen, I saw Dyson get up and block too many power forwards in center. If you can do that, I know you can dunk the ball. So I get it. He's got the jelly layups. He's got that's all good. I need him to start dunking the ball. You're too athletic not to. So those are 2 players that obviously everyone has a lot of eyes on. But there's also going to be some 2-way players. Obviously, there's an extra 2-way spot this year in the NBA. That's a new change to the rules. But also, the Pels are only at 14 on a roster spot right now. So you're going to need a minimum contract here or there. So you look at the guards, and immediately you're like, man, it's going to be hard to crack this roster as a guard. Like, there's just so many already that, we haven't even talked about. Jose's been out. Like, who knows what happens with Kyra? Like, there's just too many things that can go that way. But you're looking at a couple players like Isaiah Brockington, who last year he gets hurt in a pre-draft workout, doesn't get his opportunity to show what he can do. But then you got another player like a Darion Seabrown who was around the team all year long. And he had the benefit, and he talked about it, of both sitting in the locker room, reading the scouting reports, looking what the other veterans on his team is doing, but then going to the G League and then showing what he could do. Like, he averaged 18 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. Like, he got him up in the G League as well. So he was actually able to transfer some of that knowledge. And so for a player like that, what are you looking for out of his game? Like, obviously he has to defend. That's what Willie Green's calling card is. He knows if he's going to make the roster, you can't be a liability at the end. But what are some of the other things you'd be looking for from a Darion C. Brown?
Yeah, he's another guy that was, like you said, around the team. And so there should be, an extra set of understanding, an extra level of ability, an extra level of confidence on the floor, right? Obviously, this guy, he isn't a lottery pick or anything like that, but he was around the team. And so, if you can, like you said, put up 18 points in the G League, you should come to Summer League and show that you belong on a roster. So defending, right? That's the number one thing for him. Between he and Jordan Hawkins being so slender, and then you also got Kyra, who's very slender as well. It's a lot of slim guards around kind of that those backup roster spots for the Pelicans. And so, you have to set yourself apart from those guys. And one way to do that is to step up your defense, step up your on-ball defense, step up your physicality on the defensive end. And that'll get the attention, of the coaches and things, right? That's how you can come in and play. And for a guy like Darion C. Brown, who plays with blazing speed similar to Kyra, you playing better defensively will get you into transition. And you can show off some of the speed and show off some of the finishing ability that he has. He can shoot the ball fairly well, but can you be a good defender? Can you turn that defense into turnovers? And can you play in the fast break in the full court? Because that's going to be ways that you can contribute in games where some guys might be out. Because that tends to happen with the Pelicans, where people are out. So, in games that they're out, maybe you get that call up, to come in and be that spot, and then you can take advantage of that. But the way, like you said, to get to that spot is through the defensive side of the ball.
Right. So you look at those guards, and there's a couple other guards. Shout out to your boy Frank, who
yes,
as a 29-year-old,
yes, sir,
getting the opportunity to play. Like, again,
yes, sir.
It's gonna be a tough roster to crack, but at least you're getting an opportunity to show what you could do around the league, right? You never know. But then there's the next set of group. We talk about wing stop, and we talk about that's the bloodline of this team. Like, the success of this team is dependent upon the wing position. But again, you can never have enough shooting, as you saw last year. So I'm looking at these three players in Kamika Hepa, Landers Nolly, and Tavion Jones, all 6'7", 6'9", all shot around 37% from the 3-point line in college. But can they defend, right? Like, everyone's looking for that 3 and D guy. Don't be just the D guy. Don't be just the 3 guy. You got to be able to show both. Is there anything you're looking for? Is there a player that you think stands out of those 3 or is going to show that they can stay out of those 3 throughout Summer League?
I think that my eye out of those 3 guys is going to be on Landers Nolly. I think that he's a guy, again, with the confidence that he has shown throughout his college career from the 3-point line. I think that ability can shine through. That kind of overconfidence in yourself could kind of show through in a setting like Summer League, right? And again, this is a guy who shot 37% from 3 his college career, but the defensive side of the ball is where, something that he has to work on. And so if you, again, this group of 3 wings that we're talking about, all of those guys can shoot, right? That's something that is available in the bag for all 3 of those guys. But can you separate yourself from that group of players? And the best way to do it is the defensive side of the ball, because that's what Willie Green hangs his hat on. We saw it from the first tip-off of the Summer League, and we've seen it up until now, that this team is built up upon its defense. So, the shots are going to be there for you. Take the shots, be confident. But I think if Landers Nolly can kind of get that defensive side of the ball together, where he's not a complete liability out there or being attacked, I think that he is the guy that I'm going to be watching out for. Out of that 3 wing pack. What about you? Any of those 3 that you like more other than others?
Well, I've been talking about Landers for a while, so that's my guy as well, just because he's just got that disrespectful shooter in him. Like, he will look you in your eye, pump fake, and shoot it anyway. And for me, I think that's something that every team can use. And so all 3 of these guys are older. All three of these guys played a lot of years in college. Often teams that are competing like that more than the 19-year-old, than the 20-year-old, because you've been around the block a little bit. You understand the game a little bit better. You're a little bit more mature. You're ready to contribute now versus a year or two down the line. So it'll be interesting to see if any of those three guys can carve out a spot, maybe for a two-way or things like that. And then you've got the big position, which, for the most part, again, shout out to Cody Zeller, hasn't been addressed, right, going into this season. And so there's an opportunity for someone, to really put an impact to say, hey, maybe not right away, but middle of the season, later the season, hey, I can contribute in some way. And so we got to start off with EJ Lidell. Tomorrow's this pod's gonna launch. He signed his 3-year contract for $6.2 million. Again, is the Griff doing the handiwork, finding talent. Again, people forget EJ Lidell had a first-round grade. Like most teams had him at the later part of the lottery, right? It's just because he's a tweener that people didn't know what to do with him. But when you've already got a Larry Nance and you've been scouting the same player for quite some time, the Pelicans knew what they were going to do to him. And so when he gets on the roster finally, suffers some adversity, and then shows the work ethic to get back, right? He was just cleared for 5-on-5 basketball last month. Like, he is just being able to play, and he wants to play every game and get his feet underneath him. Man, that's showing you the type of work ethic and the type of player that you got. And so the Pelicans put their money where their mouth is and invested in a player like that. And so for me, for a guy who's been away from basketball, not away, but not playing 5-on-5 basketball for over a year, how are you moving? Right? Like, are you still confident in the jumper? Are you still elevating, right? He was a big shot blocker. He averaged 2.6 blocks per game in college. Can you still defend the paint a little bit? Like, what are the things that you're going to bring to this roster that might be a little different than a Larry Nance and things like that? And so when you look at EJ's game and you're looking at what to look at out of the summer league, knowing that there's probably going to be a little rust to shake off, what are some of those things that you're looking to highlight from EJ?
I think very similar to your point. I'm going to be looking for how confident he is in that knee, right? Is he pushing off on that knee, or is he overcompensating for the other knee, or overcompensating for that injured knee on the other knee? How is his cuts, right? How is he reacting to defense? He's a very cerebral player, thinks the game through, just very similar to some of the other guys that we talked about. And I think that if he's able to move laterally and show some of that versatility that made him so attractive for the Pelicans, who shout out to Dyson, who said that he would have been the pick the year before he came out, that they would have drafted him then. And so that kind of versatility is what tantalizes teams. And so again, like you say, he's a tweener, but he's a big guy. He's a stocky guy at 240 pounds. So you're not going to be pushing him around. You're not going to be posting him up or anything, because this is a solid guy. So I want to see some of that defensively that he brings, guarding up and down the position and things like that. And another thing, let's see the jump shot, right? This is he has been heralded as being a floor spacer, right? A guy who can start and hit the shot. And he talked about how the coaches had him working on that his entire time off while he was kind of coming back to get rehab and things like that. So show that jumper is fluid. Show that jumper is working. Show that you can be a guy that can be a more consistent version of Larry Nance. Larry Nance said it in the first spaces that Chris kind of hosted, that EJ was going to be the reason that Larry Nance didn't have a job in New Orleans. And I'm not saying that that's something to be explored right now or whatever, but to show that you do that you do have the ability to replace him at some point. The Pelicans certainly think so by giving him that contract, and then also getting the third year as a team option, so they could get from underneath it if they need to. But I think it's a solid move for the Pelicans to sign EJ. EJ has a skill set that, from all accounts, from what everybody here and the things that you see, that he could do a lot of things that Larry Nance can't do really well, right? Shoot the ball, and because he's such a bigger guy, he can defend some of the bigger guys probably a little better than Larry Nance, who's athletic and lean versus the bulky EJ Lidell. So I'm excited to see EJ, man. He's one of the guys that I'm going to be watching for sure, just to see that guy. Happy for him to get back and to play the sport that he loves, and for his hard work to be paid off. But not only getting back on the floor, but to get that contract from the Pelicans, he should be even more motivated as ever to not only show that the Pelicans made the right decision by getting him, by signing him to that contract, but also that he deserves minutes and deserves playing time. So I'm excited to watch EJ Lidell and the hunger for him to get back on the floor.
Right. And so then you go from one Pelicans draft pick last year to another in Carlo Makovic. So he played overseas. Numbers weren't great, anything like that, but he has the ability to block shots. He has the ability to shoot. So can he show that, hey, I belong in this game, right? Like those are some of the things that you look for, that players that you stash overseas, they may stash them overseas again, right? Like who knows? And then, of course, the disappointment of Summer League, Liam Roberts does not get an opportunity to show what he can do, still recovering from that leg injury that ended his season prematurely in the SEC this year. But he should be able to work out. He should be able to practice with the team shortly after Summer League is over. But one thing that I am really looking for, probably more than anything, to be honest with you, like, again, I'm fairly confident that Dyson is going to be confident. I'm fairly confident that EJ Lidell is going to carve out a role of some kind. And again, like, I just can't see Jordan Hawkins forgetting how to shoot out of nowhere. So, like, I'm fairly confident with those things. The thing I'm most curious about is, how does James Borrego's system look in this new Pelicans offense? Because we talked about it before. In previous summer leagues, you had Najee and Herb and Trey, defensive guys. Well, in this summer league, you got a whole bunch of people with choppers. So I want to see what the offense looked like. Like, can I envision what it will look like with CJ? Because this is a big year for CJ. I think, again, knock on wood, that the stars are available and healthy. CJ should be having almost the same amount of shot attempts, but more catch and shoot opportunities, more wide open three opportunities, where, again, people don't know this, but like CJ was top 10 in the NBA last year and 3-pointers made, and Zion didn't play most of the season. Imagine what that would look like with him on the court, right? And then obviously with Trey and obviously with Hawk, what does that look like? What does that movement offense look like? Can you implement a little bit of that in summer league to kind of show people, okay, this is what potentially could look like? Is there anything that you're looking for from a schematic standpoint? Because stacks and stuff like that, summer league, you just kind of take with a grain of salt.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to see is, Jordan Hawkins, right? A lot of his game, back in college was him in constant movement, running around screens, baseline runs. Running baseline from one side of the baseline to the other. If he doesn't get it, split second, he's cutting down to the other side of the court. And I want to see if he's able to continue to do that in the NBA. Like, there's not a lot of players that really move like that all the time, right? I'm thinking about Steph and Clay, and Kyle Korver used to do that when he was playing, right? Just continuously running, hunting, trying to find a three-point line, where you was having so many people make decisions on, okay, passing Jordan, passing this guy on. Do I run with this guy? Are we tagging this? Are we in the zone? Are we in the man? Do I need to run with him? And things like that. And so I want to see if that's something that he can bring to the league, because, again, it's a very finite amount of people that have done that as far as like shooting and things like that. I think Duncan Robinson is another one who does that very well, just continuously running and things like that. And that is an element of the offense that I think, if he can incorporate those kind of things in the summer league, and then find a way to do that as well as when the regular season starts. When you upgrade him with the talent around him with Zion and Brandon Ingram and CJ, if he's running through screens, and not even screens, just running through bodies that are just standing there and constant movement, that is a very dangerous aspect to an offense that is really, really dangerous already. So I'm very interested to see if he can bring that forward. And then also, I really want to see, Darian Seabryan, like the Pelicans see something in Darian Seabryan. They've kept him around. He has some ability, which we've seen in the G League, but I want to see him, take the next step and show that he deserves to be on the team as that reserve guard or as that last minimum contract, because the Pelicans see something in him and they're giving him every opportunity to prove them right on that assumption. And I want to see him prove them right.
Right. So, again, I think the Pelicans got a good shot to compete in Vegas. Najee probably bring out the trophy if they win again. But it should be exciting stuff, right? You're going to see a lot of players that are going to play minutes throughout the regular season as well. But with that being said, that's all we got left for you. Pelicans got 5 games, maybe 6 games coming up, and then you're going to have a long break before you see more Pelicans basketball. What you got left for the people, Garrick?
As always, you never know what people are going through, so give someone a smile a day. Pels game day is here. Feels like it's been a while. Hasn't really been a while, but it's here. And it's just exciting time, man. Summer League is where that next unsung hero for your team might be born, and this is the opportunity for some of these guys to prove themselves, and I'm excited to see them get to it. So as always, follow me at Garrick_Rattler. Follow my brother at Raphael_Rattler. Follow the page at NO Basketball with no E on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and all your other social media places. Follow the channel at New Orleans.basketball, and of course, subscribe to New Orleans.network. We'll see you guys at the Summer League. Hey,